Hi all. So we're at the first impression stage of getting to know each other. As the saying goes, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Generally, we never find out what someone else is really thinking about us during our first impressions. We often keep our judgmental thoughts inside our heads. That doesn't mean that they're not there. I'm going to take a calculated risk and share with you my unfiltered impressions of you in two areas. First, I'll give some overall feedback in this video and share anonymized but real notes from the selection process. I hope that by seeing parts of the evaluation spreadsheet that I put together, you'll learn something helpful. I've changed names and left out some identifying information, but you'll likely recognize who you are, which is intentional. Second, I'll provide some feedback on photos that I found for each of you during an initial online search. Creating bios with accompanying photos is on our docket for session 4. There's a saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. I totally disagree. Most people instinctively do just that. It's imperfect to make quick judgments, but it's better than making no judgment at all. Rapidly making decisions with limited information is how we get through life. If all you know about something is superficial, that's what you're naturally going to judge it by. So let's look behind the curtain a bit at the selection process for you, the 2025 Global Student Ambassadors. How did we evaluate the more than 1,350 students who expressed interest in this program? The first phase was an online English test. The results were binary. You either passed on to the next phase or you didn't. In the subsequent phases of the selection process, evaluators needed to take a more subjective view of who you are. We got to know you through your selfie videos and through finalist interviews. For this, we used a combination of quantitative and qualitative assessments. The quantitative assessments of candidates in the selfie video and final interview phases were the result of a 0 to 4 score on a range of different factors. In short, candidates are evaluated on their speaking ability, energy, substance, presentation style, and the unique skills and attributes that you shared with us. My comments from here on out are based on what I saw in the 2-minute self-video presentations that you submitted and from the 15-minute finalist interviews. I'd like to share 5 suggestions based on common mistakes that I saw. First, follow directions. Second, do your homework. Third, show me, don't tell me. Fourth, think carefully about how you can contribute. And fifth, don't assume that other people are like you. On following directions, more than a quarter of candidates, 28% of you who were invited to submit self-videos did not follow instructions to submit videos in the horizontal format. While you ambassadors were successful, that oversight was noted. If I'd had more candidates with the exact same level of skills and I was just as enthusiastic about their candidacy as I was with you, you would have been eliminated based on your inability to follow instructions. Multiple candidates did not follow the basic guidance on recording. I asked people to record in light backgrounds with limited noise. I saw people who recorded in the dark with lots of noise in the background. One person was in a hammock. So the ability to follow instructions and take things seriously is a reflection of your candidacy. Do your homework. At a minimum, you should read all of the information provided for any opportunity you're applying for. Most of the candidates I interviewed could say 1 or 2 basic things about the Global Student Ambassadors program when I asked them. Many of you looked like deers in the headlights when I asked for more detail. A number of people were terrified with trying to answer a simple question on what specifically drew them to the program. The small minority who discussed specific aspects of the curriculum that they'd looked into or who credibly highlighted a specific video or tutorial that they'd watched from past Global Ambassadors were almost always accepted. Show me, don't just tell me. Candidates need to back up their assertions of skills, accomplishments, and experience with memorable, not just any, memorable examples and clear evidence. Generic statements that anybody can make, by definition, won't set you apart. Think very carefully about how you can contribute. And when I say contribute, I mean define that from the perspective of the interviewing company or organization. Don't just stop at what you want to contribute. Your contribution is only truly a contribution when the other side thinks it's valuable. Don't assume that other people are like you. Statements about God or religion, for example, might attract some audiences, but they're likely to repel others. Where I'm from, religion and the workplace just don't mix. It's definitely important to show how you're different by sharing your passions and opening up some bits of your personality. But in doing that, don't give the impression that you assume others are just like you. We'll soon start working on individual bios with accompanying photos. Let me briefly share some thoughts on photos and what I found for you in my initial online searches. Keep in mind this advice when you submit your final photos to accompany your bio. Make it easy for people to find a quality, professional-looking photo of you. You should take the time to take a photo that you actually like. Make sure it aligns with your goals. A great LinkedIn photo, for example, and a great vacation or Instagram photo are likely very different. Once you pick a photo, upload it at the highest possible resolution allowed by the platform that you're submitting to. My go-to in finding photos for people is to look them up on their LinkedIn. Why? Well, first off, the person chooses that photo of himself or herself, and it should be and usually is professional looking. Avoid busy backgrounds and visual distractions. You don't want to compete with trucks or stringy lights or sun flares or hammock hooks when what people really should be doing when looking at your photo is focusing on you. Make sure you have some contrast between your hair and your clothing and the colors in the background. This obviously makes it possible for you to stand out easier, but it also increases the accuracy of AI and other background removers. Don't be off to the side, don't have the entire frame taken up by your face, and don't be way too far away for it to leave lots of empty space. I would avoid the stylistic head tilts or different camera angles from below or the side. In general, I'd stick with a straightforward business photo. Don't use sunglasses. Be sure to have your eyes open. One LinkedIn profile that I looked at for you said that the person was extremely optimistic and outgoing. Unfortunately, the photo did not align with that. Selfies and arm's length photos have their place in Instagram and vacation, but they're not great for networking. If you wear a tie, which is not necessary for most industries, just wear it well, not a poorly fitting collar and an unfinished knot. Check if you can easily find a good photo of yourself by doing an image search. If you do a search and you don't find anything useful, putting something up on LinkedIn or having your ambassador page will hopefully help. So next week we'll focus session 2 on how we can strike the balance of sufficiently monitoring our progress without becoming slaves to meaningless metrics. Be ready to use your critical reasoning skills to defend opposing points of view. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.